I have 3 children. And sometimes I feel like I have been through the trenches. I have caught puke in my own 2 hands, which is disgusting. I have run for hours behind a bike seat, bent over, holding on, just waiting to let go. And I've had that heart-stopping moment when I thought that my child was about ready to dart into the middle of the street. And as a parent, I've done everything within my power to protect my children. I have taught them things like wash your hands to protect them from germs. I've taught them things like put on a helmet to protect their head. And I've taught them things like look both ways before crossing the street to protect them from cars. But the day that I was at the grocery store with my oldest daughter, and she asked me, how does the grocery store make broccoli? I realized I was missing something pretty big. Today, kids have lost the connection between where their food comes from and how to properly nourish their bodies. Gone are the days where children had the daily interaction with a growing garden or with a meal prepared with fresh fruits and vegetables. And there are major health consequences from this new disconnection. In the United States, the #1 health risk for children is childhood obesity. That's pretty big. Depending on the state in which you live, half of the kids are not receiving the recommended servings of fruits and vegetables each day, and 22 to 40% of the kids are already overweight or obese. And every year, millions and millions and millions of Americans are diagnosed with diseases like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancer. Diseases that combine are the cause and death in 1 in 5 adults here in the United States. Now, in comparison, 1 in 146,000 adults will die every year because of a biking-related accident. Now, understand, I'm not downplaying the tragedy of biking-related accidents, but what I am saying is, for every time we remind our children to put on their helmet, shouldn't we start a conversation about food? That day, as I was leaving the grocery store with my daughter, somewhere between the drive home and unloading the groceries, I knew that I wanted to teach my kids how they could understand where their food comes from and why it matters. I've grown up in Idaho my entire life. I've lived just miles away from our famous potato fields. Yet I had never seen a potato growing in the ground. I, like my daughter, had no idea where our food was coming from. So when I decided I wanted to teach my children about gardening, I decided to start small. We planted 2 pots with 2 sets of seeds and put them out front. And we had fun. So the next year, we built a 4x8 raised bed, and the year after that, we built 3 more. And every day, I would race out to the garden with my kids, and they would race out to the garden with me, and they would fight, literally fight, over who was going to be the first to put their hands in the dirt, to pull a weed, or to try a new vegetable. So here are my children. They're fighting over vegetables. They're trying new foods. They're incorporating them into their daily diet, and they're asking for more. Now, when you talk to my friends and family, I don't really do anything in a small way. So I decided I was going to go really big with this new gardening thing, and I started running a nonprofit organization called Boise Urban Garden School, otherwise known as BUGS. And what BUGS does is we teach kids the science, health, and environmental sustainability of organic gardening. And the first year, I was pretty new to gardening still. I wasn't an expert, and so I knew I needed to look at the research and the studies to find out how can I be the most successful in my position? How can I know what I need to about youth gardening? And what I found was exciting and amazing. All the studies show that kids who participate in youth-based education like more vegetables simply by working in the garden. They increase their fruit and vegetable consumption by 2 to 2.5 servings per day, and they take those healthy eating habits all the way with them through their entire life. And as I started working in each one of the programs, I started to see these same studies, and I started to see this is happening right here in Boise, Idaho. At Bugs, our programming always consists of teaching kids everything from seed to plate. So the kids come into our program, and we start by teaching them how to plant a seed. And every single day of the program, we also teach them how to cook with fresh fruits and vegetables. And inevitably, every time that we start a new program, on Monday, the first day of the program, I have a mom, and she calls me. She says, "Hey, Erin, this is Timmy's mom, and I just need you to know that Timmy loves science, can't wait for gardening camp, hates vegetables. He'll be packing a lunch." And I say, "Well, that's fine. Timmy doesn't have to eat the lunches that we make. Go ahead, let Timmy pack his lunch." Tuesday rolls around. Timmy doesn't have a lunch. Friday rolls around. Same mom calls me. "Hey, Erin, Timmy's mom again. I just want to let you know." Well, really what I just want to do is say thank you. Timmy's now eating vegetables. He's asking for vegetables at home, and he's encouraging our family to eat vegetables. I'm like, that's a mom win. I'm a mom, you're a mom, we're all winning here. We're eating more vegetables. Absolutely fantastic. But there's one major roadblock for a lot of families, and it doesn't matter how much your kid loves to eat vegetables. It's money. Low-income families in the United States have less access to fresh fruits and vegetables. Vegetables simply cost more to buy at the grocery store than all other types of food. And in a lot of low-income neighborhoods, families cannot actually find those fresh fruits and vegetables. When a parent from a low-income family is trying to make a choice between spending $1.25 on a hamburger at a fast food restaurant or $3.99 on a pound of tomatoes, the choice is pretty clear. Now, in my position at Bugs, I get to spend a lot of time with a lot of kids in a lot of gardens throughout our city. The city has 3 community center sites, and each one of these sites is for low-income families. They're located at low-income schools, and each one of those sites has a garden. And I get to go every week and work with all of the kids at each one of these sites. And there's always a lot of kids who want to come. But at this one site, there's one boy, and his name is Tanner. And Tanner is 8 years old, and he is always right by my side. He is there with me, and he loves to garden. At this particular garden, we rely on overhead sprinklers, and those sprinklers sometimes don't get everything wet as they need to be. In Idaho, our temperatures can reach about 100 degrees. And so every summer, we bring out the watering cans and the sprinklers and the hoses, and for some reason, inevitably, everybody gets wet, really, really wet, especially Tanner. He's always the wettest. Last September, I was in the garden with Tanner, and we were picking green beans and cucumbers and tomatoes, and I asked Tanner, I said, "Tanner, what is your favorite part about working in the garden?" And I wasn't surprised at all, because he said, "Watering." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, why watering?" And what he said next stopped me. Tanner said, "I like to water because my mom doesn't have very much money. And I know when I work in the garden, I can bring home snacks." As a parent, as a human being, that is difficult to hear. But this is what I know about Tanner. He's 8 years old. He likes to eat fruits and vegetables. And he is learning skills every day at our community center garden that he can bring home to his family, and he can teach them how they too can grow fresh fruits and vegetables. And what Tanner is learning is that just like that fast food hamburger that costs $1.25, a packet of seeds costs $1.25 as well. So we've talked about some of these studies. The studies show that kids who are in a garden, they're going to eat more vegetables. The studies also show that low-income families have less access to food. But if we can get those kids in those gardens and they're eating vegetables, is it going to make a difference? Is it going to make a difference with childhood obesity? It does. Another recent study showed that the most cost-effective way to lower childhood obesity is by increasing fruit and vegetable consumption. So kids who are eating more vegetables are going to lower their rates of childhood obesity. This is good. This is pretty good stuff. I feel pretty validated. What I've been doing for the last 5 years is working. So what can you do? How can you make a difference? Well, you can start by planting a seed at home. You can start just like my family did. We started with 2 pots and 2 packets of seeds, and we grew from there. You can plant a seed at a local school. Does your local school district support school gardens? Do they want a garden at your child's elementary school? Can you start something indoors? Can you start a rooftop garden? Can you plant a seed in your community? Here in Boise, Idaho, over the past 5 years, our local government has been working to increase our community gardens and our urban agriculture. In 2014, our program, Boise Urban Garden School, partnered up with the city of Boise because they really saw the value in what we were doing with our students, and they wanted to see their programming grow as well. So in this past September, we also passed a new community garden ordinance that shows how families throughout our entire community can start opening community gardens on public parks. So for those families, a lot of them, like Tanners, who are living in an area, in an apartment where they are not able to grow that garden in their own yard, they can go right down to their local park and they can start growing there. And about that daughter of mine, she's pretty cool. She's 11 years old. She still loves gardening. She cooks with us every day. Since we've started gardening, she's increased her consumption of fruits and vegetables. She likes vegetables, except for zucchini. She still hates zucchini. But at least when we grow it at our house, she knows where it came from.